And I handed over to Becky to share a little bit about Lifeswap as an idea and a concept, and to give us a bit of a demonstration of how you use it.
Brilliant, thank you, Daniel. Hi everybody, we're all really happy to be here, myself and the customers that I've brought from Homegroup, Stewart, Diane and Ronnie, who I'll introduce you to very shortly. So I work for the customer engagement team at Homegroup, and what we believe at Homegroup is that as one of the UK's largest social housing landlords and care and support providers, we have a big role to play in tackling prejudice and discrimination. We want everybody to be able to be themselves, and we value what makes us unique, and know that celebrating our differences can make Homegroup a really special place to live and to work. So our Role Models project is about celebrating our diversity and finding inspiration in other people's lives, their actions and their stories. So the guide booklets that we produce focus on the ways in which all of our characteristics, everything that makes us who we are, how they interact and shape our experiences. So I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. Oh, I don't think I've got permission. No worries. If Dan can fix that while we're talking, that would be great. So we've got a range of role model guides available, and they demonstrate people's stories basically. I'm just going to show you now. Ooh. So this is our role models guide. As you can see, it focuses on intersectionality, so people that have got multiple protected characteristics, whether that's having a disability, being a person of colour, being part of the LGBT community. And you can see inside the book we've got a great quote from our CEO, and a quote there from one of our customers, and then it goes into the stories, and obviously you're not going to be able to see these now, but I will send out a copy of these digital booklets after the session. But you can see there's lots of stories there from people that live at Homegroup, people that receive our support services, and also our colleagues. The Role Models project itself has evolved in recent years, and we're starting to produce some specific guides for certain communities. And that started with an LGBT guide that you can see there. The pictures aren't showing for some reason, but they are there normally. And again, that's got stories of LGBT plus people. And we've also, hot off the press, this hasn't even been released yet, we've now got a disabilities role model guide as well. So that's made up of people's stories. I think there's about 13 stories in there, from all different types of disabilities, including a good representation of learning disabilities in this new guide. And we're also working on producing a guide specifically for multicultural communities. We know that how important it is for people to have role models, and the project is all about bringing those stories to light. So that's just a quick look at our role model stories. Some of our role models also take part in another project which is called Lifeswap, and that's what we're here to do for you today. So Lifeswap is an interactive session that enables participants, yourselves, the audience, to see life through somebody else's frame of reference. So Lifeswappers tell their stories and are open to being asked questions. They can, of course, refuse to answer questions if they prefer. So I'll just take this opportunity to ask you all to practice confidentiality and respect throughout the session and beyond. These interactions facilitated in safe environments can lead to reducing stigma, challenging stereotypes and preconceptions, and breaking down barriers between different diversity groups. We deliver Lifeswap events at our head office, our customer service centre, at customer meetings, management meetings, national conferences and events. We've had customers up on stage in front of hundreds of people. Also with our stakeholders and our contractors, really putting the customer at the heart of what we do and the services that we deliver by facilitating engagement between people who might not come into everyday contact with our customers. So we feel that's really important. Lifeswap can involve a mixed group of people, providing a range of diversity groups, or it can be tailored to a session like we have today, to enable participants to learn more about specific diversity issues. So today we'll be hearing from Stewart, Diane and Ronnie, and we'll show you a couple of different styles of how people can share their stories. What we're going to be covering today is living with a learning disability, living with Asperger's syndrome and mental health. And please note, if anybody needs a content warning, that there might be reference to childhood trauma as part of some of our stories. So a heads up there. At the end of each person's story, you'll have a chance to ask them questions. So please use the chat facility for that, and we'll monitor that and put those questions forward to the Lifeswappers for you. So I think that's enough from me. Lifeswap really does speak for itself. So I'm excited to hand over now to Stewart, who's going to tell you his story. And we will see you. I will see you again just after Stewart. Okay. Hi, Stewart.
Hello, Becky. Hello, everyone. My name's Stewart Stapleton. I'm here to talk about my Asperger's. So my name's Stewart. I'm 43 years old. I'm a male, and I live in supported accommodation provided by Homegroup. I live in Torquay, southwest of England, Devon. Okay. So a little bit of my background. I went to the University of Nottingham to study mathematical physics. I finished my degree. It was a lot of hard work, but I had trouble with the social side of the university. Straight afterwards, I started my PhD. Sadly, I didn't finish it due to becoming very unwell. This is when I was diagnosed with both Asperger's and bipolar. I don't know how much you know about Asperger's, but it's something called an autism spectrum disorder, or autism spectrum condition. There's so many different names for it, and it's basically problems with like social interaction, social communication, theory of mind, how you it means you're hard to understand other people's intentions. As a result of this, my self-confidence and concentration and general mental well-being was shattered as a result. Fast forward to 20 years now, and now I live in Homegroup property with 3 other people. Homegroup wear 2 hats in this regard. Homegroup own the house and act as a social landlord to provide the roof over my head. When Homegroup, under the name of Deckers, definitely enhance community recovery service, also provide me one-to-one or daily support for anything I would need that day. Having been diagnosed with Asperger's has been both a blessing and a curse of my life. I've known that I was different from other people for some reason from a very early age, and the diagnosis of Asperger's helped me understand why. As for the curse, I was frustrated at what I considered to be broken and that there was no easy fix for it. I go a little bit into my early years, my childhood, and how I did at school. One of my earliest childhood memories was in primary school. I must have been about 8 at the time. I remember doing a great drawing. I forget what it was, probably a car or something. I wanted to share it with a teacher for constructive feedback. However, she was quite rude to me and told me to go away and do it properly. I thought that I'd personally done something wrong. At the time, I didn't know why she said this and this. However, when I was much older, when my theory of mind, understanding how other people think or whatever, was more developed, then I realised that it wasn't my fault. It was her being a bad teacher, not understanding me. So my viewpoint of that event changed, given that I was now believed to have Asperger's. I kind of get a positive from it instead of a negative. Well, my Asperger's also has great difficulty in understanding people's feelings and intentions. This affected me greatly at secondary school. I was bullied a lot as a result. because I was different. Sometimes I would misunderstand what my classmates were saying, and I used to interpret them as being nice to me. However, they were in fact being nasty to me, and I didn't realise that at the time. I was bullied at school for being strange and behaving differently. I said that. The teachers weren't very supportive. They kind of made me feel it was all my fault, which I didn't understand at all. And they told you the usual, what I considered lies, which didn't help at all. Like, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names would never hurt you, which is a load of rubbish. And the old lies, right, if you ignore them, they will stop, and I did, and they just carried on. Also, my Asperger's affected me at school. I was good at maths and science, so that was okay. But I found English very hard due to me not being able to understand people's intentions and thoughts. So, I don't know, in Shakespeare, they say, how did Mr. X think? And I would go, I haven't got a clue. And what was Mrs. Y feeling? And I would say, I haven't got a clue, because of my Asperger's. Later on, I went to the university with my Asperger's. I was bullied again at the university, and I found it very hard to make friends. Just a little bit more. Because of my bipolar, I went into hospital 2 or 3 times as well, and I was bullied at hospital from other patients, clients, whatever you like to call them, customers, service users, all sorts of names. And nothing was done about it. It really frustrated me. I just want to say my early life was not perfect. However, I struggled through, and I had a loving family, and I didn't get involved in drugs or gangs or anything like that. So even though I did have problems, it could have been a lot worse. I'm also grateful for the support Homegroup gave me. As a result, I've become more happier and more self-confidence, even though at the moment I'm not back to my strong self, like it was when I was at uni. I'm optimistic about my future, and hopefully with the help of Homegroup, I will be able to do more stuff. I find it very hard to go out on my own due to my social anxiety, which has gotten worse over time. I'm also thinking of doing an open university course in computing to help my self-confidence, and even if there's just a 1% chance of maybe doing some kind of employment in the future. So to summarise, I live in supported living in Torquay with support provided by Homegroup, both bipolar and Asperger's. Homegroup helped me in my activities of daily living, and with them my life has been a lot better. Thank you for listening to my story. Any questions?
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Stuart. We haven't had any questions come into the chat just yet, but if anybody from the audience does have a question, please pop that in. I've got a question while we're waiting. You said that you were diagnosed with your Asperger's later in life. You were already an adult by then. Yeah. Do you think that having that diagnosis earlier at school might have helped to improve your experience of school and your interactions with your teachers that you described?
And my pupils as well, fair.
Mm.
It would have been a lot more helpful because there is like social strategies people can get taught, like social stories. They run you through different social interaction solutions and how to interact with people, and it would have been a lot more helpful if I had that at an earlier age. Someone put something in chat, so I'll look at that.
Yeah, we've got lots of well done's and that you're very interesting, and thank you so much for sharing your story. And there is a question from Lisa. What are you interested in studying at Open University?
Probably computing. I was like, among my friends at uni, I was like the IT support guy. So when they needed someone like probing on doing maths problems, it was me who always used to help them out. So I just wanted to do that and learn how to do this and that. And,
Brilliant. Okay, yeah, lots. Sorry, Emily, was there a question from you?
No, I just said you inspire me. What gives you the confidence to speak up like that? You know, it can't be easy, and I don't know if I'd be able to do it if I was in your shoes. So well done.
Thank you very much. That's really kind of you to say that. There's a question from Daniel. Stuart, who do you usually tell your story to? Well, this is the only second time I actually done my life story, and it was very different the first time because I spoke more about my bipolar than my Asperger's. But who was it? Just general life story. Who was it again? Was it Lisa? We had issues with. I don't know. I'm not going. It's her own story. I'm not going to go over it.
You spoke to one of our teams at Homegroup, so you were invited to join a team meeting at Homegroup, and
that was it.
The strange team for a name, but they were called Knowledge Management, if that helps. They look after information for us at Homegroup.
Okay.
And they're one of the teams that don't often get to spend time with customers face to face, so that's why they asked for a life swap. So Daniel's asking, oh no, you've just answered that. Anna said, thank you, Stuart. Good luck with your computing degree. And she shares your optimism for the future, which is lovely. That's it then for you, Stuart. Are you happy to leave it there?
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my story.
Thank you for making the time to share your story with us today. And do take the time to read over those lovely comments that you've got from people in the chat. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to Diane next. Are you there, Diane?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My camera won't come on for some reason.
That's okay. Don't worry at all. We can see that lovely picture of you, which I think was at a hotel a couple of years ago when you were there for an event, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it might have been our diversity and inclusion conference that we had in Leeds.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that day. Yeah. So thank you for coming and joining us, Diane. We're going to do an interview style life swap, you and I, aren't we?
Yes.
To show our brilliant audience a different way that life swap can be done. So we've agreed some questions, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we've sort of talked about what your responses might be. And if you get a bit shy and you don't want to answer, are you happy for me to say what we've already agreed? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, but I'm sure that you're going to be absolutely fabulous, Diane. You always are.
Yeah.
So first off, can you tell us who you are and where you live?
My name's Diane Blackburn. I'm from Walker in Newcastle.
Brilliant. And how long have you lived there?
It will be 8 years in October. I moved in on the 6th of October 2013.
You've been there a good while.
Yeah.
And what made you move to your home where you live now?
Family problems that I don't want to talk about too much.
Okay.
And my health problems that I have.
Okay, so is that your mental health, Diane?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. What do you like about where you live?
I have people who are around me, feel safe, caring for me. We have a nice garden and we can sit outside.
Lovely. I know you've got a nice garden there. I visited, haven't I? Yeah. And do you have barbecues?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the things you enjoy most, isn't it? Having a barbecue in the garden.
Lynn, the manager who runs our service, comes down and does barbecues and everything.
Oh, lovely. So you get to spend time with the management of the service as well. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So is there anything that you don't like about where you live, Diane?
We did have noisy neighbours next door, but they are not there now.
Okay, and that caused a bit of disturbance, did it? And yeah. And did the staff help to sort that all out? And do you feel better about it now?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. And what do you do for fun, Diane?
I have fun with staff team, and the other people who I live with.
Great. And do you all get on? How many people do you live with?
3. Well, it's me and another 2. One of them's unfavorably means she can't talk, but she's got ways of like having fun, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's Carol, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're able to communicate, aren't you? And she's able to tell you how she feels about things, but without speaking.
Yeah.
Because you know each other quite well now. Yeah, that's good. So you've got friends where you live?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about outside of your home, Diane? What do you like about the community that you live in?
Well, we've got a nice park that looks over the view, and we've got a shopping centre around where I live.
Oh, brilliant. You like a bit of shopping?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things that you do as part of your very busy life, Diane, is you get involved at Homegroup, don't you?
Quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Stop.
And we're really grateful for everything that you do. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you get up to and how you help Homegroup shape and change things?
So I'm involved with Easy Read, making making passports for hospitals easy for people with learning difficulties to understand. Yeah.
And you've also worked on a tenancy agreement with us, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and you worked on our safeguarding policy.
Yes.
To make sure that all the language is right and that other people with a learning disability would be able to understand that information. That was a really valuable thing.
I've also been on the board with all these managers and having a discussion, because a few years ago they had changed it to customers, and I said, well, I don't like customers, and I asked them why, and now I can call myself client whenever I like.
Yeah, because Homegroup changed the way we describe our people that live in our homes. It used to be clients, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then they changed it to customer, and you didn't like that. So we went and spoke to Homegroup's board of directors, and you asked them why that change had happened.
Yeah.
And now you're confident and happy that you're allowed to call yourself a client if that's your choice.
Yes.
Yeah, you did amazingly that day.
Yeah, I also do interviews for new members of staff for services, and I also go into home groups, well, services that do assessments for.
So you help Homegroup to scrutinise how well we deliver our services, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you go and have conversations with other people that live in our homes.
Yes.
Yeah,
and sometimes that can be hard because some clients haven't got the understanding of what that is. So sometimes I have to change the way I work with them.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're so good at that, adapting to the person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very, very good at that. So all of this amazing work that you've done resulted last year, didn't it, in you winning a special recognition award?
Yes.
How do you think about that, Diane?
So it it was a mad day, and there was 2 big boxes came to the door, and I had 2 members of staff that came upstairs, well, they shouted first, and they went, "Did you order anything online?" I went, "No." And I went down, and here was a big hamper with a award trophy for all the help of everyone in Homegroup. And it was just like, my God.
So it was a surprise, wasn't it? Because it was during lockdown, and
Yes.
we couldn't give you a usual sort of party that we'd give an award winner.
No.
But did something else happen that day that made it quite special?
So
Did somebody come knocking on the door?
So Lawrence says, "Oh, go upstairs and get ready." And then the next thing I knew, these people knocked on the door, and they were photographers taking pictures. So every time I go on Homegroup's website or whatever I'm doing, there's my picture with this trophy. I'm thinking, oh my God.
You're famous, Diane. You're famous.
It was like, and then I just burst into tears, basically, because throughout all my life I've been told I can't do stuff, and now getting that proves to me that I can do it.
You can. You can do anything you put your mind to, Diane, and
Yeah.
I love working with you. I always get something out of it, and you always challenge us. You tell us when we're doing something that doesn't work for a person with a learning disability, and you help us to improve.
Yeah.
So you should be very proud of everything you've achieved.
Yeah.
Well, that's all of our questions between me and you, Diane. Are you happy for some questions from the audience?
As long as we explain it in a way that I understand, and not too much long words.
Not too many long words. No problem, Diane. We've got a couple of questions. So Daniel's asking, how do you choose what to tell people when you share your story, and what not to tell?
It depends on what the story is, I think. It depends on how I'm feeling at the time. But I have done a lot of stories in the past where I've talked to people over 100 of professionals before. I've done loads of stuff, and you kind of like get used to it.
Yeah. So you just decide based on what the audience need to hear, and how you feel. Excuse me. How you feel at the time. So if you're feeling a bit low in your mood, you wouldn't give away too much information that you feel unhappy. Yeah. Okay. There's some brilliant comments for you, Diane. Lots of people saying thank you. Jessica said, your input for Homegroup is very inspirational, Diane. A massive well done and congratulations on your award. Lisa said, thanks, Diane. You spoke really well about your life, work and interests. I wonder, what's the best thing about Lifeswap for you? What do you get out of it, Diane?
Being independent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being independent. Being able to do things on my own.
Yeah. Because before lockdowns, we worked and got you to the point where you were able to travel without any support, weren't you?
Brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that question, Lisa. Tom said, wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Lovely feedback for you there, Diane. There are no more questions from the audience. I think I'm go for it, Emily. That's absolutely fine.
Diane, I was only going to say, one, you come across really determined, and I'm wondering what enables you to keep going like you do, because it sounds like you're someone that doesn't give up.
Basically, it's with Homegroup and Becky and all of the people who know I can do something, keeps us going.
Yeah,
if I if I didn't have them people, I probably would have struggled.
Mm.
So it's about having the right support in place, isn't it, Diane?
Yeah.
For people to get to know you and what
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Emily. That was a good question. And thank you, Diane. That's it for today. Well done, you. You should be very proud of doing this today. I know it was out of your comfort zone.
No,
so
I'm
thank
fine.
you. Good. I'm really pleased to hear it. Thank you for coming and for being here.
Yeah.
We're going to hand over to Ronnie now. Last but certainly not least, Ronnie is the person that brought us all together today, and has been a life swapper for Homegroup for a long time, and I know he's been involved with you all for a long time too. Through his fantastic contributions to both of our work, he's managed to bring us all together for this session today. So, Ronnie, are you there? Can we hand over to you?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing first, is that Homegroup have looked after me for the last 17 years, and funny enough, served the NHS. And so I've learnt a lot in easy stages, and so I've learnt what it's like to be a patient. I've learnt what it's like to be a client, and I've learnt basically so much that I love to pass that information on. And in the past, I used to do entertainments, I've done parties, children's parties, face painting, but to be able to get involved in Homegroup, where Homegroup has basically not picked me up from the street, but picked me up from a very poor situation into life, to where social services have basically lost me. I was brought up in care and they've lost me. And obviously I've worked with Daniel in the past when I was trained doctors and nurses, and it really feels good to be able to put something into the system. Now, normally if I was doing life swap of Homegroup, I would be talking about where it's helped me to improve my cooking skills, financial skills and stuff like that. But thinking about our project, which is within the community, I really do struggle. But I'm going to tell you a few things, but I'm hoping that you'll sort of look at it and you'll think, well, that is so simple for me to do, for you, anybody to do. But the way I see it, it's not so simple. So I'm going to start off by basically giving you a little bit of background, and then I'd like to go through. Excuse me for looking down, because I basically put this together yesterday, really thinking about where I think it's important. So I'm going to say, living with disabilities is what I would like to talk today. My name is Ronnie Treston, and I'm happy to say quite a few people know me for the stuff I do. I live in supported housing with Homegroup, and I live in Herne Bay, Kent. And I'm living a life of independence, to where I get support on daily needs. And under the care of Homegroup for around 17 years, I've developed social skills. I've developed the confidence to go and tell people what I want to tell. I've developed the confidence to enjoy and trust myself to actually go and tell these people in confidence. Over the last 15 years, I've raised over £25,000, and that's by dressing up for children in need each year. And the great thing about that is I can be whatever I want. No one's actually going to stop me from walking up the road dressed as a robot. No one's going to stop me walking up the road dressed as a fairy, because I'm raising money for children in need, but I'm actually also saying, this is Ronnie. This is not the business side of Ronnie. This is Ronnie, having fun, wanting to help. In 2005, I was awarded the Canterbury Lord Mayor Award. The reason why I was awarded that is because my comment was, to help other people was helping myself. And I still stick by that. me getting involved in helping others is actually helping me a lot more, because I know that I'm doing something. In 2012, I was a torchbearer, and I still hold the torch for Pride downstairs. And Daniel nominated me, and at the same time, Homegroup nominated me. Now, normally with something like that, you get one nomination, but I got 2 nominations. And to me, that really felt that I was doing a good thing. And carrying that torch on the day, I felt like a king. One of the examples as well, when my carer was with me on the bus, and they pull you up in a coach and put you forward, and she said to me, "Ronnie, don't panic. There's not going to be many people here because we're on a big roundabout." And when we come round to that roundabout and then put you off the bus, there were thousands of people. I got schools, I'd got nursing homes. There were hundreds of people. And my carer turned around and said to me, "Hold the torch with pride, stick it up in the air, show them you're proud." That roar was incredible, but that feeling was good. I've also done training. I help train doctors and nurses. I've done junior nurses. Within Homegroup, I've spoken to call centres. I'm not only a life swapper, I'm a client assessor. And a client assessor is where we go and assess other projects to make sure that those people are happy and understand what's going on, other customers. And I'm also involved in a lot of training. I'm trained in interviewing. So there's a lot I do with Homegroup. But learning disabilities hasn't helped me in life. I was born in 1966. I was 8.5 weeks premature. My mother was told that I'd even die. I weighed 1 pound 2 ounces. It was hard for my mum because my real father was killed 3 months before with a drunk driver. It was an accident. It was classed as a road accident. So it was hard for my mother. And she's always said to me, "Ronnie, I'm trying to find the right man. I'm trying to find the same dad for you." But unfortunately, they were alcoholics. My mum liked to drink. I was abused quite often. I was in and out of care. My brother was abused. So it was child abuse and neglect. So I suffered. One thing I said when I come out when I was 18 is that it will never happen to anyone else. That's a promise I made to myself. So that's why I started to fundraise. That's why I started to get involved. And this is the reason why I'm here today, because I refuse to let what happened to me happen to anyone else. As an adult, I do suffer with mental health. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. I can't pronounce the actual name, but my carer put it down for me, which makes it hard to trust people around me. Now, I know it sounds funny. I'm going to say, please note, people I trust are the people I know. So I trust the people that I've worked with. Daniel, I trust them. I trust the steering group. I trust my carers. I trust my family. But when I'm in a community, I don't trust anyone. I'm sorry, I can't just trust anyone. I'm always got my eyes around the corner. I'm always looking. If somebody walks quite strong to me, or they're shouting in the street, or if somebody's wobbling up the road, or I see a group of family having a laugh, that's quite scary for me. And that's part of the mental health. But then there's a problem with the learning disability, and it is making choices. I know it sounds funny. The policy of Homegroup and learning disabilities is for anybody to make a choice. We're all entitled to a choice. I present that when I'm doing talks and lectures, that it's important that we're able to make a choice. But in my case, there's too many choices to figure out. And I'm going to give you a simple example. As I said, it would be every day for you, but when you think about it, when you go to a doctor's or a carer or even a waiter in a cafe, right, they give you choices and they want an instant answer. They need you to answer them quite quickly. So they read the choices to you, they're explaining, and they want you to suddenly think, yeah, okay. And to be honest with that, that's a bit difficult for me with a learning disability, because there's too many things to think about and too many things I have to concentrate. An example, a cafe. All right. Here's a little playwright. What would you like to drink, sir? Tea, coffee, or a cold drink? At this point, it's quite easy. Oh, coffee, please. And then a whole list of coffees to put in front of you. Would you like decaf, cappuccino? What milk do you want? What do you want there? Did you know that there are actually, in the average cafe, there are 15 different types of coffee in a modern cafe and about 7 different types of tea? That's a hell of a decision to figure out what you want. It's easy for me to just say a white coffee, but I'd love to try the other stuff. It's too much to take in. So that affects me to the point where if I'm given a choice, I need a few choices. I don't need about a dozen choices. And then I need someone to explain. And sometimes it's better for me to sit there of a carer while someone's giving me a choice. And I'm hoping that they're going to help me make the decision by pointing me into the right direction. So that's difficult. Another example for me is crossing the road. And I know it sounds really strange. And we all know we look each way, listen, and before we cross, keep on going. But I'm worried because, one, I need hearing aids, so that affects the sound. I live in a busy town, and so it's never really clear to listen. You've got sounds and movements, dangers in progress, cars in the way, and that's really difficult for me. And that's the point where, again, I don't feel safe with myself because I can't cope with it. And I end up actually having to walk probably about 500-600 yards up the road to find a crossing. In some cases, I hang around and they wait to see an adult cross. And if I see an adult crossing the road, I sort of walk behind them or follow them across because I can't make that instant decision when it's safe. And of course, in some cases, I feel that I've even had to ask an adult if they can help me cross the road because there's so much going on. And part of my learning disability is I can only control on a few items at once. So when you ask a complete stranger, can you help me cross the road? It makes you feel like a bit like a child. Okay, getting lost. This is a favourite one for me, but not so good for Homegroup. And the idea of the reason to get lost, that I do go up and down the country, like Diane. I love travelling. I love getting involved in Homegroup. And I've gone to Manchester. But I tend to wander off. And the reason why I wander off is because I've got usually about an hour and a half to spare between a connection and I want a coffee. But I'm not going to go and pay for a coffee in one of these expensive places. The Homegroup gave me some rules. And those rules are, when you're travelling on a railway station, you do not wander out of the railway station. I have regular dates with my updates with my support workers so they know where I am. And when I get to my destination, I catch a taxi to the hotel. That way is the only way that I can't get lost. And the main reason why I feel that I get lost is because the cities, they're a lot older. Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed yourself, I don't know where you go to a big city, in your own town, or in your own area, at the end of the road, there's a little street sign and it says that's the name of the road. But when you go into a city like London or Newcastle or Leeds, there are old buildings and those street names are about 2 stories up on the side of the building. So the time I'm trying to figure out where I am and I've turned around, I forgot where I came from. So I can't remember the route I come from. So that affects me with my learning disability. And doctors and nurses and appointments of doctors. For me, it's very difficult to explain what's wrong. I know we're thinking, well, this is a doctor's responsibility to figure out, but how can I explain to a doctor what's wrong when I can't figure out what's wrong myself? That affects me quite badly. And sometimes when I'm talking to the doctor, I'm trying to explain where I am. When you see a doctor or a nurse that looks more confused than I am, then I know I'm not getting through to that doctor. And the reason why I'm not getting through is because, one, with a pain in the leg for anybody else, in your arm or leg, to you it's a pain in the arm, you can point to it, you can explain it. I find that very difficult with my learning disability, to explain what type of pain it is, where it's coming from, how it happened. Again, there's too many questions for me to cope with. So it comes to the point where in the end, the doctors actually sit down and they start talking to me again as if I'm a child. And they start saying, okay, let's go back to basics. All right. So again, that's where I find it difficult. And in the end, I think the doctor's having a wind up with me, because I'm thinking, I'm telling you what's wrong and you're still telling me you don't get it. But it's not that, it's I'm unable to explain to the doctor, so the doctor can't understand what I'm trying to say. So as you can see, I wish to be an independent adult, but sometimes I need that support. I have to ask an adult, and that's my story.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ronnie. So much in there. We've got some questions from the audience already. So Daniel's asking, some people write their stories down. Is that something that you've considered?
Yeah.
We do have you in our new role models book, don't we?
Yeah.
So we have a written version of your story, and you can use that however you like now, can't you?
Yeah. And if I can send all the Lifeswap stories I've done, I can send off, because I found it's easier to put them down, because it's easier for me to go back on them and say, that's where you got the help from.
Okay. Some comments here, Ronnie. A very heartfelt story, Ronnie. Your confidence shines through. Keep doing what you do individually. It's so important. Sorry, something else came in there and it made my things jump. Your intelligence and brilliance is inspiring, and I appreciate the recognition of this by Homegroup through the awards. Love your detailed articulation and clear explanations of your life story. Well done, you are amazing. Your narrative truly resonates, making choices, trusting people and healing from childhood traumas. Another comment is a very heartfelt story, Ronnie. Your confidence shines through. That's the one that I just got moved on from. Ronnie, you're very inspirational. I really enjoy listening to your thoughts and experiences. Thank you for sharing. Ronnie, I struggle with too many choices as well, so you're not alone in that. There doesn't seem to be any questions, just lots of wow and well done and thank yous for Ronnie. Diane, did you have a question to talk to Ronnie about?
Ronnie, I know what it feels like when people get abused, because I've been through that myself. And the way I deal with it is, you are the bigger person. So what I mean by that, you can come around and be the person you are now, and not let things damage you. Because the more you let that damage you, the more it's going to be harder. So I fully understand where you're coming from, fully. And it is heartbreaking. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it's going to be all right, because it won't be all right. You just got to learn to deal with it somehow. And that can be hard.
You are so true in that, and that's something that I've managed to learn over the last sort of 20 years, is that whatever happened to me in the past has happened for a reason, and because that's happened, I'm able to stand up for others and make my point. So I'm overcoming my problems by actually trying to prevent it from happening to others.
Yeah.
What you say, it is something that happened, but I've moved on.
Yeah.
And like you say, that's how we cope. We have to move on.
Yeah, we do. Because the more you let that damage you, whoever done that to you, are not going, they're not bothered how we feel. They don't care. All they're bothered about is about damaging other people, and you should never happen.
I have to admit, there's a story that's sort of a personal story. When I was younger, there was a gentleman that I remember, he was horrible to me when I was 8. And when I came out of care, I thought, I've got to move on. I knew where the man lived. I knew where he was a stepfather. I knew where he lived, and he'd left my mum years before. And I actually knocked on his door the New Year's Eve after I was 18 and asked him if I could have a drink with him. I bought the drink, and I said to him, I forgive you. It's now time for me to forget what happened and moved on. And that was one of the best things I ever done.
Because me and you are the strongest people. If we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now to hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe more. We're going to remember that.
You're both absolutely amazing, and I've got goosebumps a little bit.
Sorry, Becky.
No, it's fine, Diane. It was a good thing to discuss. We have got a couple of questions. So Lisa's asking, Ronnie, how do you think that sharing your story challenges people's attitudes or changes their attitudes?
I don't believe in textbooks. I believe that a textbook is something that's been put through by professionals, and a textbook is absolutely brilliant. But if you were going to have a driving lesson, you have to have your theory and you have to have your, what I call, real life. All right? And I think personally, Lifeswap is part of that training to say, okay, you're listening to what has happened in an individual's life. And hopefully with Lifeswap, loads of individual life. And when you walk away, you're not walking away with that feeling that, oh, that was interesting. You're walking away with that experience. Okay, now I'm part of an expert by experience with NHS, and that's what I'm doing with me. Lifeswap is giving you that experience so you can walk away. Because if you see things in real life, it can become more clearer. And one thing that I can take away that happened many years ago is I was talking about where I was abused and my father and alcohol. And somebody said to me, he worked in a rehab centre for Homegroup. And he said to me, is there anything I could take away to the rehab centre? And I said, yeah. When you come across a young man that's an alcoholic and he's got children, all right, ask him to think about how it will affect their children when he's older.
Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie.
Ronnie?
Yes, Emily? That's okay.
Ronnie,
go.
I was going to say, you always inspire me when we do the steering group meetings, yeah? I really look forward to that. You've inspired me even more today, and I'm just intrigued. What is it that gives you that buzz? You know, that was so powerful. Why? You know, I couldn't even do that. So what is it?
I would say what gives me the buzz is being able to listen to other people, listen to their needs, and then have the confidence to say, I'm going to do something about it. The buzz is not necessarily the buzz that I create around myself. It's the confidence that I gain that makes me, I like to say, a monster. And the reason why I like to call myself a monster is because I will keep on biting until I'm convinced that something's being done.
And we have to, otherwise if we sit back and it's no, that's all right, we're not going to get anywhere, are we?
No.
And like you were saying earlier about the choices, even I struggle with that. You're standing there and you're thinking, that one, that one, that one, or that one. And then you're even in more of a rush because some of them can be impatient. You think, just give me two.
And then normally when the waiter's looking at you or you're talking to a doctor, he's got his pen and paper or he's on his computer and he's looking at you saying, and he's not thinking, God, for God's sake, hurry up. But you look at him and you look at their eyes and you look at their reaction, and you look at waiting and you think, I haven't got enough time. I need to be quick.
Mm.
Thank you, Emily, for your question and your comments. And there's some lovely feedback in the chat there, Ronnie, Stewart and Diane. If you do get a chance, please do have a read. There's some lovely comments from the audience thanking you for today. But speaking of time, we have run a little bit over our allotted time. So we're going to finish it there. Thank you from me to our life swappers today for taking the time to share your stories and to help us to understand about your specific circumstances and your involvement at Homegroup. Like I said at the beginning, I will send out copies of our role model guides via Dan. I'll also be sending a SurveyMonkey link for feedback on today's session. It's really important to us that you do complete that. It's a really short survey, but it helps us to improve our process. We monitor that feedback every time and we make changes to our process and the way that we deliver based on that feedback. So please do fill it in, and not only that, our life swappers really appreciate seeing the comments that come in, so I will encourage you to fill that in, please. And I'll hand back over to Daniel. Thank you all for having us.
Thanks, Becky. Thanks, Ronnie, Stewart and Diane. It's very much appreciated. I had a sneaking suspicion through the conversations leading up to today that it was going to be somewhat special, possibly confronting, possibly a little bit challenging. I hadn't quite realised quite how how touching and inspiring and emotional it was going to be. So just to echo what Becky said, there will be an email hitting your inboxes at 2 o'clock this afternoon with a couple of links in it to both the community evaluation, but also to Becky and Homegroup for feedback as well. I do encourage you to have a think about filling those in. We do have a few more minutes we've got I think we've got 18 people with us at the moment. Becky and Stewart and Diane and Ronnie, if you want to stick around and join us for this, in listening to the conversation that was going on, I wanted to pose a couple of questions, and with your support, I want to get you into breakout groups to have a think about those questions. There are two main questions, and I think it's worthwhile to spend a bit of time reflecting on these. If I share my screen. So I think there's, as I say, there's two main questions here to spend a bit of time on thinking about. So how do we, what has been presented to us today has been two or three, really confronting, inspiring stories that have, if you're anything like me, that has pierced through some of the kind of the preconceptions that we might hold, or and some of the barriers that we might not be, even mindful that we're holding up. So I'm really interested to get you as a groups to think about how we challenge stigma. And so I'm going to organise us into breakout groups. I think the other really important question around that is what does this community need to do to support this? I mean, the community is talking about us supporting people to live healthy, safe, and fulfilled lives. Challenging stigma has to be something that we're all concerned with. What ways could we be doing that? So the first group, what did you come up with in relation to challenging stigma? Because this is very much about this whole idea of Lifeswap was about challenging stigma. What kind of ideas did you come up with?
So is that the group that I was in, Daniel?
Oh, I believe so, yes.
Okay, I'm happy to share as nobody else has jumped in.
Okay.
No, it's fine. There was a consensus that your community challenges stigma every day anyway. It's part of sort of organically how you work. Most of our conversation was about maybe raising the visibility of the positives that people with learning disabilities experience. There's a lot of focus put on worst case scenario and the bad news and sometimes the bad things that happen, when you can put just as much focus on the exciting stuff, the brilliant stuff, how positively people can contribute. So just talked a bit about the importance of that positive visibility.
Yeah, I think that's a really important one, and one that kind of occurred for me in hearing some of the stories as well. Okay, great. Thanks for that, Becky. In relation to the second group, Michael and Stewart, and was it Marianne? What were your thoughts on challenging stigma and what the community might be able to do to support that?
Well, I'm going to answer the second question. It's just better education for mental health professions, because autism can be linked to mental health, like bipolar or depression or even schizophrenia. And when I was first entered the mental health professions, they didn't know what autism was, and my GP didn't know what it was. No offense to him, but so it's just better education, and now it's a lot more known. We just need to carry on that good work.
Yeah, thanks for that, Stuart. I think that that chimes a little bit with the conversation that Emily and I were having. So Emily and I did some teaching sessions for nurses in emergency care on Monday, and we were talking a little bit about how important having people's stories, and Emily was great at being able to share her story of having to go into hospital via accident and emergency, how important those stories were in being able to engage the audience. But it led us into that kind of conversation about what is most engaging, and often the hideous stories, the horrendous stories, the abhorrent stories that we come across in relation to people with learning disabilities, and the most engaging in the media, which is unfortunate and unpleasant, and but something to the way of the world. But yeah, I think that there is something really important about how we present that positive outlook, that positivity for people with people with learning disabilities. So that gives us a little bit more of a thought and idea. Now, I'm aware that we're in the last minute, so I will just move into onto the last slide if I can. So as I say, the evaluation questionnaire will be hitting your inboxes in the next minute probably. There is a fourth event penciled in the diary, although the link isn't available as yet, for the 4th of August, another lunchtime event. I believe Marianne and her associates at University of Manchester will be leading that for us. They are going to be doing they're doing a piece of research around hearing and audiology, primarily in the Kent, Surrey and Sussex area. we'll be interested to get your feedback and perhaps even introduce them to some people with learning disabilities who experience the services locally to get their feedback on services. So we'll look forward to that. There is, as I said previously, there's the monthly steering group meetings. We are really enthused to have people to come onto the steering group that are able to, do some stuff for the community, support with the website, run events like this, or support with the running of events like this, to really kind of maintain that engagement and be able to have such an impact on the community, and doing that, challenging the stigma that perhaps the community does. Listen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and thank you again to Ronnie, Diane, and Stewart and Becky. And we'll hopefully see you on the 4th of August. And please let us know how you do in the meantime. Don't forget about the Facebook page and the Twitter accounts and so forth. It would be lovely to hear your feedback. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of afternoon.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for having us.